On today's episode, we're discussing social media and its impact on Freemasonry.
You're listening to The First Three Knocks, a Masonic podcast in the District of York, where we discuss topics for the betterment of Masonry. The opinions discussed in this podcast are those of the individual and do not represent the views of Grand Lodge or any other Masonic body. Now, here are your hosts.
Good afternoon, brethren. I am your co-host, Worshipful Brother Bert Tellier, here with your co-host, Brother Gino Scovio, and our talented producer, Brother Steve Sprott. We're at the Aurora Temple in Aurora, Ontario. And on today's episode, we're discussing social media, the impact that it has had on Freemasonry and continues to have on Freemasonry, which I think is a episode we can all really relate to well because we've been deeply involved with it.
Absolutely. I think we wouldn't say we're the founding fathers of it, but we've certainly made a pretty solid impact on some of the avenues we've chosen to work with approvals, of course, within our own district and Grand Lodge, and they have just taken off and have, I think, proven some of the value that we're providing out there, and just keep evolving into this wharf of even more that we continue to grow with and see coming down the pipe. So yeah, I think social media is playing a huge impact today within Masonry.
In a positive light.
In a positive light.
Yeah, and often in Lodge we hear a lot of discussion around we don't want that out there in the public and too much information sharing, that type of thing. But like anything, the world has changed, and the way that people connect and absorb information is dramatically different than it was 5 years ago, even. And I think, Steve, you probably know that better than anyone because you would definitely be an expert in this space. But you were just telling us an interesting story before we even came on this episode around information on the websites being old,
Yeah, I think that is, in this day and age, I mean, who are the people coming into Masonry? It's usually younger guys, and these are guys that spend a lot of time on the internet, or the internet is their main source for information. And when you're going onto a website and it hasn't been updated since 2009, I mean, what does that say about our organization? Unless they've made contact with someone in the lodge, that's their first impression of Masonry. And I don't want to speak ill of my lodge, but my lodge was one of those lodges. Zeredatha doesn't have a great website, and that's something we're looking to work at. But I was brought into Zeredatha by a family friend, as I've mentioned on other episodes. And if I was just a person looking to do my own research and didn't have that connection, and just typing in Uxbridge Masonic Lodge, and I went onto the website and it hadn't been updated since 2009, and it has the officer lineup from 2009 and this year's lineup, and it's got all that
fresh off the presses
stale information. I mean, I'm going to think that this lodge is either closed or I don't know. Exactly, right? So I think that is really the first line of not defense, but to make your first impression. I think it's very important in this day and age for lodges to have their own website, and it's so easy now to have a website. You just need one young guy with a basic computer skills, and let's say it costs $50 to $100 to produce this website. Getting the domain name and all that. What's that worth? If you're turning away applicants because of your stale website, is that $100 worth it to upgrade a site? Absolutely. There's so many easy website builders now where you literally just need basic computer skills and you can have a great new website. So I
think a lot of some of the newer things that we try or strive to work towards within Masonry might get a lot of kickback from our more senior traditional brethren who back in the day, there was no websites, there was no internet, there was no cell phone apps, podcasts, recordings and such. it was literally founded on the fact that, you know, maybe you found out your neighbor was a Mason and you inquired.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, even back then, it was very rare to put an open house or a friend-to-friend event in the newspaper. Oh my God, what are you doing? You're advertising. Improper solicitation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which can, and as we've seen through many lodges of discussions, you know, some agree that it's the right choice in today's day and age, and some really disagree on what it is. You know, talking about your website particularly, maybe it was a fantastic idea in 2009.
Well, exactly.
Just
It was,
to have
it was a great
stamp
website
out
for that.
there. But again, maybe the brethren didn't understand what maybe younger gentlemen understand today, that it's not just a static page as a poster out there on the internet. It's an information flow that should and always try to be as current as you can to stay within the times. You know, I know in Masonry we are not to be innovative and find new ways, and that is very much practiced within our ritual and our ceremony and what that we practice 100%. Very much, I think we should always keep the older traditional way in that. But I think as far as being out there in the public, because we are encouraged to be in the public, we're encouraged to, you know, be a part of community events, to wear our rings or our T-shirts or our hats and whatnot. Some, again, senior members or even some newer younger ones don't know how to address the question if brought to them from the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So they might shy away and hesitate from those things. Whereas we have, I guess, some, and I'm not going to say confident or non-confident, maybe it's a bad word choice, but more confident guys that are more than happy to be willing to take their chances on answering those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think outside of that, yeah, I think quite personally, in my opinion, social media today, especially today, is a super important thing to have in place. And I find it can't just be the one method. You know, I know everybody's on Facebook, and Facebook is becoming an old dinosaur, and you know, us old guys.
It's for the old guys.
Are old, but we're old guys now, right? So
Wait,
like,
what?
what?
I didn't get that memo. What are you talking about?
You talk to your teenage kid and say Facebook, and they go, "Oh, Dad, that's for moms and dads, right?" So we're old guys, okay, whether you like it or
fine.
not.
Fine, Gino, I'll accept it.
But I think, like, you know, a Facebook, a Twitter, maybe page, a newer, more modern website that you can certainly add more video to. You know, again, in my line of work, and I didn't study marketing either, but I was always told in my line of work, a quick small message that has the impact, and at the time, a picture. Now a picture doesn't stop anything. You need an exciting, quick video that catches your attention.
People
for them
don't
to
want to
click.
read anymore. They just and you know, if you speak to anyone in marketing, they'll tell you nobody wants to read anything anymore. So if you have a little video on your splash page, and it just talks a few seconds about the history of the lodge or anything like that, or even just nice images with little paragraph underneath, something that's not too time consuming, and there really doesn't have to be too much information on your website, but it has to look nice, have the necessary contact information, kind of maybe a little blurb about what Masonry is about.
You're setting the hook, right? You're setting the hook with the kind of exciting, cool, amazing things that we might be a part of and want to really highlight. And then obviously if the person on the other side wants to do more, they're going to click on more tabs. They're going to look into, they're going to read the about us's and whatnot, you know, and they're going to maybe get in touch or want to come to the open houses. I see them more than ever today within Facebook. Open houses or public open house, friend to friends being advertised. And what I'm really enjoying about it is seeing many likes on it, but more so the comments, you know, a good dozen or so every time I come across them, you know, with somebody tagging their friend and that person saying, "Oh, I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to join or I'm going to go and see what it's about. I'm going to go
out
to the event and whatnot." And again, you know, that's getting in line to modern age, you know?
Well, I think it comes down to just a way of working, right? So the way of working was different 5 years ago. It was definitely different 30 years ago. But we have to adjust to that. And you made a comment earlier about no innovation. I think that comment has become perverse in Freemasonry because it's been taken in context of everything will never change in any way. And that is not the intention of that comment. That comment is related to the ritual.
Right.
It's been designed perfectly, period. Now, the way that we communicate with each other and the way that we run lodges and the way that we interact with society is changing every hour. So we have to adjust and change to that. And so I think social media has this great opportunity to help us change with the times.
Absolutely.
And we've seen that. We've seen the benefit of it, just even the small work we've done in this jurisdiction. We have people who have reached out looking to learn more and get involved and become Masons and follow the craft.
We just had a couple fans recently. We met at Thursday's event at our lodge.
Yeah.
And when you properly introduced them in our lodge, I was like, oh my God, that's George. So George reached out to us through the podcast and through Facebook and said, hey guys, I'm a member in Toronto. I think he's obviously moved a bit north and wanted to affiliate to one of our lodges in our district.
Maple, yeah.
He had already gotten in touch with them because he was on the app and knew where they were located. And I'm sure he's done it his own. We're not taking full credit here, okay? But I'm sure that we helped direct him. Or at least that's what he mentioned on Thursday. And it just another aspect of the things we're doing that just blew my freaking mind. I was like, that's amazing.
I'll take it even further. I mean, it's created an opportunity for friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a connection now because we've spent time together at the Zaradatha's cigar night. And now George has been up here to our lodge and participated. And we'll be going to Maple to participate with them. Like it creates that environment that allows, like you just described with the friend-to-friend example on Facebook, it makes it more intimate and more available and certainly makes it a lot more relevant and timely, as opposed to a 2009 website with the officer lineup. I mean, we laugh about that one, but I'd be a little bit embarrassed to go look at our stuff. Right?
I don't think we even have one anymore.
Not a Rising
We got
Sun
a
one,
Facebook page.
Yeah.
And we try to stay pretty current with that. We're doing a decent job at it, I think.
Well, thank you, Brother Scovio.
If you don't have someone that can build a website, I mean, a Facebook page is almost as good. You can have if it's a public Facebook page, people can go there and see all the information and see what you guys have been up to, whether it's laying wreaths at Remembrance Day, events or,
you're
or
so right
Christmas
in
parties.
that, like, I don't know how to build apps or run a website or build a website, if you will. But like there are so many buttons in the Play Store or in the Apple Store that it's just like
it's becoming so easy.
App,
yeah.
Add picture here.
Yeah.
Put your about me here, and it does it for you. So like, again, certainly the younger guys that are coming in are a little bit more adapted to being able to understand that. But I think some of our older members as well are finding we're not getting as much resistance, I think. And we've only been a short year. Like I had a nice conversation with one of our more senior members a couple weeks ago. And he had asked, and so this prompted me to put a quick survey out to our Facebook members. He had said, we got a lot of the old guys in our lodge that they want to get on the app. We just don't know how to follow the instructions. And they're pretty simple instructions that are on the Facebook page we have to have walk them through and doing the app. And I said, well, he said, maybe you can put on at one of these Lodge of Instructions a quick 5-minute session on how we do that, right? So I saw a need there, and I said, well, let me also put a survey out to the general membership on Facebook. We're over 200 members now on that, which is pretty impressive for one full year. And I said, hey, I think my questions were, do you know that the app exists? Do you use it? Do you need assistance? And I didn't get like 200 fellas. I think it was like 20, 30 guys that eventually filled the survey out. But everybody knew about him and had no problems finding it and downloading it. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So bring it back to this fellow who called. The older guys want to get on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they see, well, they all got smartphones. Whether they know how to use them or not is irrelevant. It's a button you open and push. And I think they're seeing some of their younger guys sitting before lodge, because we don't bring these cell phones out when we've got those doors closed, and they're pushing some buttons and, oh yeah, we're here, or yeah, you go into this event that's been posted on the app, and
absolutely.
And so they want to be in the know.
Right.
But the whole point of that, outside of sharing with the general public, was to be able to share information very quickly within our district.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's stepped up our communication dramatically.
So much.
Even our ability to connect with all the lodges more quickly. You think about how it was going before, where you had to send an email to the district and hope that got disseminated to all the secretaries of the lodges, and hope that they got to send that out to the brethren, and then hope that those guys actually opened it. I mean, that is almost the equivalent of faxing something over, or sending a snail mail letter and hoping somebody gets it in 4 or 5 weeks. Like it's pretty shocking.
We had a good example of our Grand Lodge recently, when we were sharing information ahead of time before Grand Lodge came in July. I think it was about 2 weeks earlier. We had sent out an email through our DDGM at that time to share with the brethren that if you don't have the app, download it. It's certainly going to be a communication source that we can very quickly have a turnaround time to give you information that's relevant right away at Grand Lodge, since everything's on the fly.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things that came of that email that was dispersed a few weeks before Grand Lodge was an older fella again came back. He's like, well, I'm not on the app, and I like the old email method. And what that member did not realize, which we shared with him after, was the app sends an email.
Yeah.
So it's again, like you said, instead of going through 5 people to send the same email, and then you hope that your secretary's gotten it quick enough to send it to you before the event's actually taken place, the same information will reach you via that older method, but you can have it within 5 seconds, or you can have it within 3 days.
Yeah.
And not to say that we don't share information quick enough. We do it as quick as we get it from the older method. But again, sometimes it takes a while. I had another older member come in and say, hey, you guys are doing a Christmas skate. We haven't been told about it yet. And I said, well, it's been sent to the lodges that are invited. And
it's been posted in the lodge.
We have 4 flyers that are on the boards, physical flyers that are here in the building. We've sent you an email. It's in our app, which 3 of those lodges are in our district. And so I said, it's out there.
Yeah.
All right. But this was a fellow who might not be on the app and is going through the old method. And I think the timing of they had their meeting before the email went out. So maybe the secretary's holding that as a correspondence piece to read out in lodge. And if they look at it, they might find that by the time their next meeting is, they might have missed the RSVP date.
Right.
So it's just, again, a better communication. It gives us a quicker avenue to share within our brethren. But it also, we have a public aspect that we've also started. And even our own Grand Lodge has done a wonderful job of upgrading our website, putting in a little bit more. It looks
fantastic.
Yeah, the content that they've put in, again, video content, right? You go to the Grand Lodge of England, you go on there, and there's just like the mecca of an amazing Masonic website. And now we got I think a little bit of a shadow of that. Not to the same degree, but
as one of our guests, George Curry, would say that we're better than we were.
Absolutely.
Not perfect.
Absolutely.
Better.
And we're getting there, right?
Better and better and better. Yeah, I see definite benefits for engaging younger people into the craft. It's almost a price of admission, is what I would call it. And really, probably an easy thing to do is to have new brothers that come into lodge, assign them the task of running that. You were talking about that earlier, Steve. Like, that is a great way to engage a newer brother who's a digital native. Who has no problem figuring that out and probably would enjoy doing it as well and bringing some expertise. So there's that aspect. There's definitely the benefit of communication across the district, across the lodges, across the membership that has dramatically improved as well. I'll give you one more that I hadn't thought of, but really has helped. Being worshipful master of a lodge, there's a lot in running a lodge. And one of the very secondary benefits from social media is when you're uploading all that activity, pictures, images, content, it actually is a depository of your entire activity in a lodge. So we were joking a little bit about the Rising Sun Lodge Facebook page. To me, that is just the hub where I drop everything, so that when we have to do a report for Grand Lodge or do our cornerstone application, I'm literally just pulling it all up, and I got all the dates, and I've got photos. I got what day it was, who was involved. It's all right there. And I mean, because we've done it before, we were on Facebook, and let me tell you, that's like a 3-month-long event going through minute books. Yep. Trying to figure out what's happened, right? Like, there has to be a better way.
Our app also, you might have an event that passes the date, and I don't think that members in our district that use it know that up top, if you go into the calendar look, you actually see the days of the month, there's buttons that go back. You can actually click a back button and pull an old summons from a few months back, or see what they hosted that particular night and whatnot. And that was, again, as we add more aspects of our social media share within our membership and within the public, adding summonses to all the notices now that go out. It gives our own membership, and it is a private app for us, because there are levels of kind of privacy, if you will, on names and numbers that are displayed there, but you get contacts, if you really want to be able to reach out to someone, like Brother Sprott pointed out, well, I'm going to go to Zaradatha's website, all right, zaradatha.com. Oh my god, it's 2019 coming into 2020. Is this brother from the 2009 page even still active? If I send him an email, does it still go out, to, it's a Yahoo account? Is there even a Yahoo account anymore? It's AOL? What's that?
AOL.
Right?
Message me on ICQ.
Right? So,
you've got mail.
MSN Messenger.
So it's like, I think it's extremely important. And I'll go out there to say, and I think we've offered our assistance, if you will. We won't do the whole job for you, but we will certainly help guide and point, or even, I'll go further in my experience of the app that we built, which also creates a public side website. So it kind of hits two birds with one stone if you want to really use it in that respect. If anybody out there needs assistance because you truly don't have some younger membership who can lead that kind of project for you, we'll be happy to kind of help set you up. I won't do it forever, but I'll help set it up. I'll help show you the way, and then ultimately have fun with it, because it really is a tool that you could utilize to the fullest to have a level of privacy for your members to not share so much, and then a level of public side, which you really get out there. And again, today, everybody's on their smart devices. They're on their phones.
It's an expectation.
Everything, right? And if you're not current in the times, then we're so far behind the times.
I think you said it. If you're not current, you're not current.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the end of the line of that piece.
And I you get a lot of younger guys that are coming through these doors these days. They're in their mid-20s to early 30s, and again, they get it. And a lot of the times, if you ask them, how did you find out this or that, it's because, again, they saw a Facebook post or something. A lot of them still have friends or family members that are Masons. Don't get me wrong. We're still seeing a good surge of kind of like the rite of passage is coming through the family line, if you will. But a lot of these guys that don't have that are seeing that, or we're hearing that. We're getting comments and feedback, from the public side as well as some brethren out there, and it's fantastic. I think it kind of certainly drives me in what we're doing here, and I know it's driving you guys to just want to do more. So I think it's something that everybody should be get into, try to, and you don't have to master it. By the time you master it, there's another new piece that's added by the end of the night, and that's how quick things are these days, right? But
and I'd say as a takeaway from what Bert was saying about getting new applicants or new EAs involved, when someone comes into your lodge and they're brand new, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be a younger guy who, as we've been saying, knows about social media. it's a great way to get them involved in the lodge. It gives them some responsibility. Obviously, coming in, they're not knowing anything about Masonry, so it's hard for an EA to start contributing to the lodge. But if you say, hey, do you know anything about Instagram? Do you know anything about Facebook? And you don't have those things already, well, maybe go through the social media guidelines from your grand lodge with them, and maybe give them some kind of
responsibility.
Responsibility for contributing to the lodge in that way. Within an hour they can have a Instagram page set up with some pictures of some public events that your lodge has been doing, a Facebook page that's either out facing to the public or just an internal Facebook page where promotes fellowship within your lodge and events like that. And so I think it's a great way to get them involved, and it's benefiting the lodge in a positive way.
I think you're 100% right on that, and I can share with you last year to this year, when our podcast took a little bit of traction, certainly more within our district first when we launched it, a lot of members were coming up to me, or maybe to you guys as well, saying, hey, good job. By the way, and I'm talking like younger members who might have already been Master Masons, but again, they're just shy of their 30s. And they're like, I'm in marketing. If you need a hand, I'm willing to help.
Yeah, what can I do to help?
Yeah, so Eager Beavers out there, and the younger side of things. So it's like, you know what? Come across. Again, we were so fortunate to be introduced to Brother Sprott here, who was a brand new EA of 2 months when he sat down with us to start our recordings. We've gotten some amazing help with keeping up with informing the brethren of our Facebook posts through Maple Lodge. A brand new EA, I just got their summons for their next month. He was just initiated, and he and another fellow craft, they are working in combination of their efforts to keep the brethren current in our weekly events that take place. And they're again, being kind of like the lead that started that. It was a lot of legwork to collect all the information. Well, we found a source that hubs it, and it's the app. So I said, don't go out and look for summonses. Use the app as your source. If it's not on the app, it's not been delivered to us. So therefore, we just announce it at whatever meeting it is, and on we go with it. Yeah. And so it's nice to see, again, newer, younger guys, younger members jump right into these roles. We just had a wonderful EA that just came through the doors, Cena, and fantastic young man. He's doing some tremendous work. He's already said, what can I do? I want to do more. I'm like, you're 2 weeks new. Like,
what a good problem to have.
There's lots of time, but I'll give you some work if you want to do and help us with things. And right now, I don't know what his skill set is. He's in school still, so I'm sure he's a very young man who knows all the social media side, but we'll put him to work with assisting on breaking down the lodge or putting it together. It's very important. I know we're talking social media here, but engage the newer members. Give them some tasks. They want to do that. When I first joined, I remember meeting another brand new member at the time. His name was Julian from, I believe, Maple Lodge also. And when he and I got our Master Mason's degree done, I remember we'd always kind of see each other in our travels. How you doing? And he goes, oh, I got a chair in the office. And I'm like, well, what's that? I got what I think is the best chair to have for your first officer chair. The assistant secretary. I said, oh, that's a big role, Brilliant. And he goes, you know what I like about it, Gino? It forces me, and this is kind of like the social media, if you will, of the older times. It forces me to be in touch with everybody within the district. It puts me in the know. I get to be communicated to, and then I share it with my brother, right? And so again, we have tools in place that help those things take place, but like, that just blew my mind in the sense that he's right. Yeah. He's a newer member. I think he was made a Master Mason within 6 months of joining, and he was very eager to get involved and get started. And it was a great opportunity again to be able to share the bigger picture right off the bat. But yet it took him 6 months to be able to get there when we can utilize things much quicker. Right. So I think everybody needs to get into the social media world.
I think the only caution I would add to that is if you are going to start a social media, kind of
platform
outlet, you need to be keeping it up to date, like we said with the websites. If you're going to start a Facebook page and post something once a year, people are going to easily see how stale that becomes and all that. So how long does it take to make a Facebook post? Just a one-liner.
Seconds.
You know, so if you're doing that once a week, even once every 2 weeks, you know, it takes 3 minutes of your time to come up with a line or add a photo or whatever. And I would say that with a website too, is if you're not going to have someone that's active and not too tech savvy, and you just want to set it and forget it, don't put officer chairs for the year. You know, just have historical information about the lodge or about Freemasonry, how they can get in touch with you, and you don't need to be updating it every 6 months or a year or 2 years. You can leave it for
There's a lot of social media that cross ties to each other. So you post it in one
and it posts to everything,
spot, and it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I know on my business Facebook page, if I was a little bit more, I don't know,
Sprotty like.
Well, I guess if I planned ahead a little bit more, you could go into certain pages that you build and say, I want this post to be delivered on Monday at 6 a.m. Boom. So you could take one afternoon, spend half an hour of your time,
and curate a whole
month, and all of a sudden it looks like you've been on Facebook every single day doing stuff, and they go, "Don't you got a real job?" Yeah. But you know what? It's so easy.
Well, we do that with this podcast.
We do, right?
Big secret out there, but I mean,
all the secrets are out.
We can record two episodes and record them 2 weeks apart. I upload them at the exact same time and just have them launch at different times. Or same with if I post something on Instagram, I can schedule it, and if it posts on Instagram, I have it linked to the Facebook, so it goes right to the First Three Knocks Facebook, and it makes it very easy. You know, it cuts the work in half. So
I guess I'm a big believer that social media is going to be, and it's going to continue to be the driving force to really allow communication to be spread quickly, to be able to get good public awareness out there. And I know that, you know, maybe a few months from now, it's going to evolve so much. Forget the podcast. We're going to be a hologram. We're going to be sitting in your living room with you in a hologram sense, right?
Holograms. I can't wait.
It's coming.
Teleportation and holograms.
We're just going to sit here and the equipment's just going to read our minds. We're not even going to speak. You can just hear us breathing.
We could have 3 bots on here at some point, right? Just
hey, maybe I am.
They'd have better information.
But it's like it moves so quick, but it's been designed, especially today, as quick as it moves. It's so easy. It really is. Like in the beginning, I remember it was a little tough. You did need to know a little level of some coding, if not, and not even extensive, but just a little level of stuff. And I remember in my earlier parts of my own personal work website, you know how many times I went in and accidentally deleted a period, which wiped out the whole freaking page, and then I had to pay like a couple $100 to have someone fix it for me. Now there's like, you can't trip and fall that hard anymore. Yeah. It's not built that way, and it's because
you don't have to be a web developer anymore to build a website.
You don't.
Literally anybody can do it as long as you're okay with a computer. I've never used some of these companies like Wix and things like that I see ads for, but I mean it walks you through everything, and you don't have to worry.
Let's throw a challenge out there to the brethren at large, at least the brethren at large. Put something together. Hashtag the First Three Knocks. Let's see a kind of a compilation of new just notices out there, and it doesn't have to be if you got a page already going on Facebook or Twitter or something that you could hashtag it the First Three Knocks. Let's see how much we can maybe get out there and get you involved. Maybe just a message. Let's see how far it could go and take you, and that will be proof in the pudding, if you will, to show you how quick things can get out. Again, we got the podcast, and we're spread over the world. We get some pretty cool comments on the other side of the pond and beyond, and it just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
And if you need some inspiration for things to post, I mean, just go on Instagram, go on Facebook, and type in Masonic Lodge, and thousands of lodges come up with Instagram pages and Facebook pages, and you take a look at theirs, see what they're doing, what's working for them.
I'm a big believer. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use an existing model out there. When I was looking for a lot of content when we just had Facebook, and at the time a newer Mason, I didn't know much of the history, the rich history that's involved, and I'm still learning so much more. There would be a certain time of year, and I'd be like, Canadian Masons, boom. The GM of the Maple Leafs Harold Ballard was a member of Corinthian Lodge. That was a cool fun fact within our district. So I posted that picture and said, fun fact, did you know that? Like, and it's just, like I said, have fun with it.
Yeah.
Find some cool little info snippets out there.
Yeah.
Throw a picture. And I don't even think I wrote much on there because the picture had it, you know. I think he was just a Master Mason. I don't think he went up through the East or anything like that, but he was a member of Corinthian Lodge, which is just down the street here on Yonge. Tim Hortons, another one. We had his thing, his trivia question and whatnot. Like, and there's a lot of them out there. And when you start doing those little researches, it really kind of starts to open up some more, I guess, queries that you might, I didn't know that. We just did our Remembrance Day podcast, and you brought some really cool, let's say fun facts. They were certainly sombering facts, but it was nice, you know, to have that history there. Yeah. It's pretty easy.
It's available.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. I think we all agree that social media is the base price admission for the future, certainly the future of Freemasonry, but challenge out to the other lodges in the district and beyond to get up to speed on your social media. And we're happy to help. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at thefirst3knocks@gmail.com. Gino, how do you spell that?
I'm gonna get beeped in a minute. If you email us, that's fantastic. But you can also go to our website now, thefirst3knocks.com.
Even better, you could go to our Facebook and direct message us on Facebook or Instagram. Wow. You know, utilize those outlets now.
There you go. We're everywhere. And send those holograms too. We'd love to see those.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The First Three Knocks. Happy to meet, sorry to part, happy to meet again.